Media Row right here in New Orleans, Super Bowl 59, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Donnie RIghtisde and Hall of Famer, Warren Sapp.
Hey, how's it going, baby?
Doing good, man. We got a lot to go over and a lot to talk about because, number one, I think you're the best defensive tackle that we've ever seen. Do you agree with that?
I just like to be in the conversation because every year I get a grand opportunity to take a picture with Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, Mean Joe Green, and Randy White.
There you go.
And myself. That's 4 of the 5, and Merlin Olsen is the 5th. There's only 5 first ballot Hall of Famers ever. So just to be in that conversation with Joe Green, Randy White, Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy, and Little House on the Prairie, or Father Murphy, the kids don't know nothing about that.
See that?
You know what I'm saying?
Old school.
We know him from a show, not playing. But if you ever watched him play, he was a monster. 14-time All-Pro. I mean, Pro Bowler. So I mean, monster. I just like being in the conversation. And then Aaron Donald's going to join us, and be the 6th. So we got the new, the old, everything you want.
Look, we talk about the old school defensive tackle is fantastic, but for you, being a defensive tackle, able to absolutely wreck the pocket and be one of the best sackers. How did you do that?
Sexy.
Like, how did you do it, though? Yeah.
I made it sexy. I used to hang out with Derrick Brooks and Lynch and, Lawrence Taylor, and all these guys that's on the end. Reggie White, Bruce Smith, them my guys. It was just me and Johnny inside, me and Johnny Randall. So Johnny was up there spinning, doing his worldly dervish thing up there on that carpet. I had to get down and dirty with it, so I was playing chicken with a semi.
Hey, man, big dancing around, the Big Bears dancing. I like it. Now, the way you got to the NFL, I want to talk about high school. Did you know?
No.
I know you were a tight end in high school. Was that true?
I'll show you a picture of me. I'm 225 pounds with a high top fade. I ate a 4th grader on my way to Miami. Stood on the scale. I was 270. I'm like, where did this come from? And then they put me on a 3,000 calorie a day diet.
Beef it up.
And I went from 3,000 calories a day.
Oh, so you were slimming.
I'm trying to get back to the tight end.
Wow.
I go from 270 to 300.
Yeah.
It was just a natural progression. So I just went and played.
When you went to Miami, recruited as a tight end?
Yeah.
How did they put that hand in the dirt? What'd they say to you?
Bob Carmelowitz and the great Ed Ogeron from right here in New Orleans looked me in the face and say, son, well, Bob Carmelowitz, God bless his soul, told me, I've seen Jerome, Cortez, and Russell. You can be better than all 3 of them. I said, come on, man, don't blow smoke up my butt. He said, son, you play every position on our scout team against the #1 defense in America, and we have trouble stopping you. I need to put you on that defense, and you turn into the monster that I need. And I'm like, Then I went and tried it, and they fooled me. They only put me in pass rush drills. And none of the starters or any of the guys that were going to play would ever give me a rep. So I'm beating guys that would never play in the NFL. But I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, true.
Wasn't doing them but building my confidence in all hell. You know how that is.
Warren, we talk about great defenses, and obviously being a great defensive tackle yourself at Miami on great defenses, with Tampa Bay on great defenses. What's the fundamental of a great defense? What's the mindset?
11.
All in one?
It requires all 11.
Yeah.
Because no man is insignificant in this defense. No man is insignificant in our fit, how we rally to the ball, how we perform, how we pursue. It's got to be a mentality that you all live by. It's a pack of wild dogs. And if it's a pack of wolves, the lone wolf will die, right? It's that pack. You got to live for that pack. And I truly believe the front and the back end must work together.
Absolutely.
Either you got pressure on the quarterback or you got great coverage. And then if you ain't got great coverage, you got pressure on the quarterback. If you ain't got pressure on the quarterback, you covering on the back end and getting the coverage sack.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. And then your linebackers must communicate and be the blood that runs through the defense. And that's what I've been very, very fortunate. I raised Ray Lewis and I had Derrick Brooks.
Just great football players all the way
horrible linebackers to be around, right?
Exactly. Teaching them the whole ropes here.
No, I was learning from them because they were such attention to detail because the motion meant something to them. I lived in a world where linemen didn't lie.
True.
If it was a snap of the ball and it was a scoop block, he scooped. He reached. He double teamed. He pulled. There's no lying in the trenches, so I was taking off and they were reading, so it was a brilliant combination.
Warren, when you came through Miami, it was obviously NFL you at that time, so you had that pedigree coming through. When you finally got to the NFL, what was your mindset when you got there? I'm here, I'm ready? Or was it still in that learning curve? No alpha dog right away?
You run into men like Chris Hinton. Who was in the trade for John Elway.
Correct.
In 1983.
You're right about that.
1983. I'm 10 years old.
True.
So I don't know who Chris Hinton is, but I know who Randall McDaniel is. So now you got to choose between Randall McDaniel and Chris Hinton. Who would you choose? Chris Hinton, because you don't know who Chris Hinton is,
exactly.
Right? So I go over to Chris Hinton. He's 30-something years old, right at the end of his career. I said, I'm going to run up this old man numbers. Someone grabbed me, head-butted me. Don't come over here with that bull rush stuff today. He whacked me 3 times with his helmet after he stopped me with his hand, and I'm dizzy. I said, I'm going to go over here with Randall. At least he ain't going to talk crazy to me.
Yeah.
So when I got my game together the next year with Marinelli, I went to looking through rosters for Chris Hinton. I couldn't find him.
There you go.
He had retired.
There you go. Now, I said before we had a little bit of beef here. Why did you do this to me? Now, I'm going to give you the date. It was early 2003 in January, Veterans Stadium, cold weather day.
January 19?
Me, I'm sitting.
January 19?
Yeah, I believe it was.
You know what?
I'm sitting in the 700 level.
A friend of mine.
Yeah.
I was speaking to him about the Eagles coming to the Super Bowl again. And I'm like, if the Commanders beat y'all in this championship game, will that be one of the worst losses in Philly history? He said, no, Tampa's the worst loss ever.
Warren, I'm telling you, you might have ruined my life that day. We were going to the Super Bowl, and you came in and stole it. You and Simeon Rice stole it.
No. I almost wore my Rondé Barber hat.
Oh, come on, man.
I had it Rondé. I
still see him right now. Running down the sideline. Silent.
He's still running.
Silent.
You know, my friends say, Rondé's still running. Jared Vicious is still running. You got to love Philly fans. Y'all are the best. Y'all, because I should have been there.
Yeah.
I should have been there.
Yeah.
But Mike Mamula, I love Mike Mamula. That's my guy. I got him on speed dial.
I'm telling you, we wanted you in town. And then the next year you come back when we opened the link. Now, you took it as disrespect, and you were right. You're supposed to get the home game. You beat us down in the game number 1.
Trust me.
You were menacing me in my whole life.
And my first game ever was the For Who For What game with Ricky Waters.
That was
21-6.
And you are so
That was my first game ever in the NFL.
At the Vet, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Look at that.
For Who For What game.
Yeah. So we go. You were breaking the backs of Philadelphia Eagles for a long time. Now, granted, we got you a couple years in the playoffs.
Y'all broke my back because I had to sit there for another hour and 45 minutes while we went pick 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
It's a lot. You're looking at the paycheck like that. Some less money, less money.
No. It was never my money to get. You can't lose money that was never yours.
That's true.
And each team has a different, thing they needed.
Yeah.
I think, Denny Green's dead now, God bless his soul, but I know Minnesota fans feel worse than y'all.
I bet they do, man.
Oof.
By the way, one of the legendary players, but let's get through to what you're doing now.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're in that next step of life where you can teach the youngsters how to get after it. You're with Colorado. The experience there so far for you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Life-changing. Everything I could even think of and more.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd want to coach.
Yeah.
But
what made you want to get into the coaching?
The young man infected me.
Yeah.
I went to go see Dion, just visited him. And I had a hip. My hip was bothering me. And I went down to the training room and I was in the pool.
Yeah.
Dion tells this story so vividly because I really wasn't thinking about it. But all of a sudden I had almost the whole D-line on top of me asking me questions.
Yeah.
And they were just sucking it up. I mean, going. And I was like, yeah, I want this.
Because I want to ask you something about that, too, because so many great players try to be coaches or try to level up, and you just figure you were so good that you're teaching your technique to those kids and they can't pick it up. Do you get frustrated at times, or are you just like, you know what, I'm just going to have to get through them one way or another?
No, I got a perfect example.
Go ahead.
One of my kids there, I won't say his name, but he'll know it and I'll tell the story. He likes different pass rush moves, and I'm like, listen, son, I got 102 and a half. They're all in the grave, and not one of them with that move.
Yeah.
Not one of them with that move. So we going for a good month and a half, 6 weeks. I looked at him, and I saw him. He looked uncomfortable in his stance. And I pulled him over to the side. I said, what's my rule? He said, get comfortable. He said, but I can't get comfortable when I can't do my thing.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? My bad. It's your plate.
Yeah.
It better work.
Yep.
It better work.
Yeah.
It better. And off he went.
Absolutely love it. That's Warren Sapp, NFL great, Miami great, all-time great, life great Warren Sapp right there. My God, thanks for joining us today,
Philly
man.
fans are the best.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass on the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. All right, let's talk Super Bowl 2026 here. The odds are out, and the Philadelphia Eagles check in as Super Bowl favorites. So I want to use that to connect something because I was setting the stage of something that I really believed going into the game is that if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, we should be talking about them as an all-time great team. And I guess because I'm nuts, to my surprise and then frustration, people were having that conversation. But I was like, that's not fair. None of you were going to have the conversation. Like, none of you were thinking that it was going to be a thing before the game, but they did. And why I think that's relevant is, one, the season they had, but also who they beat, the Philadelphia Eagles, in stopping the three-peat for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the reality is dynasties win multiple championships. So that's what Philadelphia would really need. And we're going to get to that in a second. But I'm just curious for you, Donnie, and then I'll go to you, Joe. This season's Eagles team, recent memory, 10, 20 years, how do you feel they stack up?
The best. And I don't even think it's particularly close at this point because you look at every position and you say, sometimes you get to the pinnacle, it's like, boy, a lot's going to change, really up against it. We pushed our chips in. Look at the starters on offense. Mekhi Becton is the only one up for contract. That means every single player on that offense is coming back, including Jalen, included Saquon Barkley, both your wide receivers, Dallas Goedert, and whatnot. Now you flip it over to the defense here. Zach Bond was an instrumental part of the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. He was absolutely sensational. They do have cap space. Let's just say they can sign him back. You're also taking a look at some restricted free agents at the cornerback position, not Darius Slay, and of course not Quinyon Mitchell, and of course not certainly Cooper DeJean there. And also under contract is Reed Blankenship and also C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So you don't say to yourself like, boy, you can't afford everybody. Now Josh Sweat was fantastic on that playoff run, but keep in mind last year, the Eagles tried to trade him. There were no takers. They even were able to go to Josh Sweat and be like, hey, you don't have any takers. Not only that, we're going to drop your salary. You're going to prove it season. He wasn't fantastic during the regular season, but really ramped it up. The one guy to keep an eye on, Milton Williams. Fantastic defensive tackle. Almost had one of those seasons where it didn't provide the sacks that you would for like Javon Hargrave, who ended up going to the 49ers, but he's going to be a hot ticket. They probably can't afford him. But if you're looking at the shell of this team coming back and saying, okay, 22 starters are going to be down, 3 of those in 18, and maybe they keep 1 or 2 of those to make it 20 out of 21 starters, that's outrageous.
Yeah. Williams is as big as this wall. We saw him out there. Unbelievable performance. And Josh Sweat with the 2.5 sacks thought he should have won the Super Bowl MVP. He did come out and say that. But
did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He won the game.
Yeah.
In the mic'd up, if you watched the mic'd up yesterday from the Super Bowl, they were coming out there. There's a funny exchange while they're on the field. Zach Bond is like, "Man, what's it going to take to get me that defensive MVP?" And Bond's like, "Oh yeah, you ain't getting it." It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
So
yeah.
I will say this. I agree with both of you, Donnie and Kevin, with the Super Bowl odds. But if you had a bet right now, I probably would bet on the Eagles potentially for a three-peat because of the nucleus of that offense and defense, because of what's there. Those young guys, they did it right. I mean, Howie did it right in the
trying
sense
to hurt us now, aren't you?
No. What I'm saying is they took the most dominant defense in college, which was the Georgia Bulldogs.
Good point.
And they replicated that by taking those guys. I mean, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. I mean,
Keely Ringo's back there somewhere.
I'm just saying. My point is, that is the heart and soul right now of the defense. And then they brought in Bond. They brought in other players around them. They're not going anywhere. And Jalen Hurts is only going to get better. He's going to be more confident now off his first Super Bowl. You got Saquon Barkley that looks like the best running back all time now, coming back for another year. Mm-hmm. Who's to say AJ's hungry? All of a sudden, he wants more. I mean, Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. The whole nucleus of this team were winners. I'm serious, winners in college and now winners in the NFL. Where are they going?
By the way, real quick on AJ, his Instagram post that we're going to talk about, which is so phenomenal. It's like, yeah, we won, but I like to dominate DBs out there, and that's all I care about. Yeah. God, love that kid. Oh, I love that kid.
It was because then he got upset, I think, because people was like, he's like, Brady says it, like the double standard, and it's like, AJ, it's not even that, man. It's not even that. It's just like, of course, you 2 days later are like, I'm routing somebody up at this parade, and that's just the end of the story here.
Would you bet that, though? Like if they gave you a market for potential, you'd have to tie up your money for 2 years. But my point is, if they threw a number out there for you,
I mean, it'd
25 to 1, 30 to 1.
Oh,
way more than that.
50.
Here's the problem. So 50 is a good number. Like I'd have to bet it because it's no. Like I don't think you would actually need way more than that. But here's my thing. It is nobody has like since I think it's 2000 or so gone back to back unless it was Tom or Pat. Right. So, look, I think the world of Jalen Hurts, but it is taken historical greatness at the quarterback position, and that's what I think is fascinating. Is while I think Hurts is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football, have the Philadelphia Eagles and have this roster changed it up a little bit, because for years people were just kind of point pick who's the best quarterback, cool, got it, right, and that's kind of what they were banking a lot of those Super Bowl picks on, and maybe here and there there'd be a stop it. Gap in the road, right? But I mean, for the last how many years has the Super Bowl winner been either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, right? So for Philly, what is so tempting about them moving forward is the fact that there are so many guys that you fully expect back next season. Every team, every year goes through some changeover. But man, and I think that they should probably try and bring Zach Bond back. I don't know how it'll happen. I don't know what guys are going to cost, but Philly last year was losing guys to retirement. Like, it doesn't look like Lane Johnson's about to say peace. It looks like Lane Johnson's about to play another 5 years, right? Like, I think that's the fascinating thing for this Eagle team, where maybe they don't win it next year, maybe they're not back next year, but now, in the next 5 years, right, most likely team to make a Super Bowl. The Chiefs are number 1 because of the historical nature, but, I mean, Philly's number 2 with a bullet.
Yeah.
Way more likely to make a Super Bowl, I think, right, than the Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati's of the world, right?
And the NFC clearly, hands down, number 1. I mean, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, there's a considerable gap when you look at those Super Bowl markets between Philly and then it's Detroit, who's at 11, and it's San Fran, who's at 13. So you kind of get that idea, right? And that creates that separation. What we're going to do, zoom off of these teams that we've been talking about. And look, they deserve all the conversation. We're sitting here. Sure, it's mid-February, but what stands out? Who looks like, okay, that's a number to track as we get set for the offseason? There's certainly a few interesting names. We'll break those down with you next year on SportsGrid. there is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
But if it ends up being 1 versus 2, which seems likely because the Cavs had a 5.5 game lead over Boston, the Celtics 3 games clear of the New York Knicks.
They're not unstoppable, not running away with everything, but for them to blow a 5.5 game lead on the backstretch in the NBA, already being a quality team outside of disastrous injuries, I don't buy that at this time.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
'26 Super Bowl odds: Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills. Just 4 teams under the 10-1 marker. You'll then find Detroit rounding out that top 5. I want to go open-ended here to the crew. If you were to look, and you can go 100-1, I don't care where you want. Oh, now he's smiling. Now I know where he's going.
No,
all right.
No.
Is that no?
No, I don't even want to tell you. I don't want to tell the both of you what I did. I already bet the Eagles 6-1 to win next year's.
Did you really?
I did. I put it.
It has. Oh wait, yeah. It's in a parlay.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. There's no way that you just straight tied up money on 6-1 Eagles.
No. I did it in one of my multi-sport parlays.
Okay.
So
Lowe's doesn't know LSU to win the SEC.
Yes, no, 20-1 in the national championship.
It probably has LSU, the Eagles, and then somehow Washington to win the Super Bowl as well as the Eagles in there, right? Somehow you can.
What else?
Donnie, come on.
What else is in one of them?
So there are 4 wheel plays. So
Dodgers.
No. Cincinnati Reds to make the playoffs. New York Rangers to make the playoffs.
Okay.
And then obviously we have LSU. And then I'm big on this Memphis team in college hoops. 150-1 to win it all.
To win it all. With then Philly. Oh, hard part's done. Hey, hard part's done.
That Penny Hardaway, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
But
like
there are a couple
strategy.
of teams on that list that I looked at.
Let's give you a second. Donnie,
Sure.
give me one, because Lisi's going to rattle off 4 or 5.
Well, yeah, a legitimate one, to be honest, would be the Buffalo Bills. In my opinion here, 2 years ago, not this past year, they were the team that were looking to be that hot shot Super Bowl take. They had all the talent in the world. It was almost a step back last year where you said to yourself, all right, we have the quarterback. Maybe the running back will step up, and he did, breaking in new wide receivers, taking a step back on defense because we had some cap casualties and guys that just left the team. I think the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams that you say, okay, we have a solid young wide receiving core, but we got to add that veteran guy who's actually going to compete. Not Amari Cooper, who came in and did absolutely nothing. And also, if you're looking at the defenders there, if you can add an extra cornerback, maybe an extra safety in there that can really have an impact,
Why not the Buffalo Bills to finally take that spot? Talented enough, quarterback's good enough to do it. That's one of those teams I would legitimately take a look at a plus 750 price. If you're going down the list, I mean, a lot of people, hey, the Cincinnati Bengals 21-1. We don't even know what they're going to look like next year outside of Joe Burrow's going to be there and Jamar Chase if he ever shows up, because he feels like he needs to be the highest paid player in football regardless of position, and we know Mike Brown's going to take that. But if you get that, like, interesting ones like the Rams, like, what's stopping the Rams? Because as you take a look at the trade rumors, which I can't even imagine that they're rumors at this point, so we'll set that aside. But if Stafford comes back on a team that finally has cleared out some cap space with Puka Nacua at wide out, a solid running game, a decent offensive line, and maybe the best young, talented defensive line in football, and you add a couple pieces, why can't they win that division, get a top seed in the playoffs, and win?
I like the look, but the concern is of Stafford. We're hearing potentially rumbling.
Can we start there? Like, why are we hearing this, though? It's caught me so out in left field.
I'll tell you why we're hearing it.
Yeah.
I think it's twofold. I think one is his wife, because she's been very outspoken about respect from the organization and what happened with Cooper Kupp, and then obviously the family correlation with the New York Giants hiring his brother-in-law for a position. So obviously there's the correlation. I would be all in if that wasn't the off-the-field type of situations, because quite honestly, you bang that number 25, 30-1, and Stafford all of a sudden is out the door. You have a huge question mark. They don't even have a legitimate backup outside of the Stetson Bennett on that roster.
But if that is a move that they are making, they already have a game plan where their quarterback is going to be better than Matthew Stafford.
Well,
wouldn't that be the only reason why you move it?
Who would that be, though?
That's what I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Matthew Stafford going, and Matthew Stafford, a dome quarterback, going to play for the Giants.
I mean, that would be the only.
No, stop. Now, hold on. I just said you have to make a move to a better quarterback. And you're giving me, well, if they have Justin Fields, they would make that move.
I was saying it's a pretty good film.
Who are you going to get? I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this.
Give me a quarterback that's better than Stafford. That's going to be Darnold?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I don't know why. That's why I don't even know where these rumors are coming from.
I think it's a Stafford thing. I think Stafford might be interested in leaving, and then the Rams are going to have to try and figure it out. And I think that for the Rams, if that's what happens, then that's what happens. Sometimes you're just going to
great play caller, great wide receiver, team now on the come up after you already have a Super Bowl in that city and you get to play in a dome.
Yeah,
doesn't like him?
From the football aspect, I agree with you. But when you have the off the field situations, and then
what's the off the field situation?
I just told you his
brother-in-law got hired as some nominal coach.
His wife is upset about how the organization. I'm just saying.
Look, I think that
relationships matter.
I will say this. There is clearly some smoke. There is clearly some smoke, I think, around Stafford leaving L.A., which will be something for us to follow throughout this offseason. Also, if the Rams get Justin Fields, I can tell you Lisi's Super Bowl pick right now.
That's it.
We're going to hear more from us out in New Orleans next.
Slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who knows how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
Patino himself, in a clip that we just played, said basically the stats are not backing up the team's wins.
St. John's offensive glass. That's where a lot of opportunities for St. John's came from. St. John's does not shoot the basketball well. It might even be fair to say they shoot it poorly. They were 3 of 16 from deep last night. But it doesn't seem to matter to them.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, we're out here on Radio Row in New Orleans. Kevin Walsh, Raheem Mostert, running back for the Miami Dolphins. He's been in a Super Bowl before. It is Super Bowl week. Raheem, how are we feeling?
Feeling great.
Now, we'll get down to brass tacks, but people probably thinking, wow, Kev, that's the best you've looked on air all year. Why am I wearing these? What's the story? You're out here with GoDaddy.
Yeah, so out here we partner with GoDaddy. They have been in hiatus for a while in regards to advertisement for the Super Bowl, and now they're back with their new platform that they just launched coming up. It's called GoDaddy Arrow, and it's AI technology for to get small businesses up and running and help them expand in the small business world. And what we have here is the Walton goggles, Walton Goggins goggles. So they're pretty neat. He's a small business owner that created these goggles, and they're comfortable. They're really comfortable.
They are legitimately very comfortable.
Yeah.
I wear my regular glasses. I put these on. This is a nice little break for me here.
Yeah.
Let's talk some ball, Raheem. So here's my question to you. We're out here in New Orleans. It's pretty nice weather, right? So that would be good weather for the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
You guys have to be aware, because it's been addressed, when it's freezing, things don't operate as smoothly.
Yep.
Maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not. I want you to tell me, do you think there is something about your group, led by Tua at the quarterback, Coach Mike McDaniel, where you guys get into those frigid temperatures and it impacts what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think it's just we try not to think that it's an element factor, right? It's more so a mindset.
Okay.
Our mindset is, hey, we're just going to go out here and try to win the game. And now, being in Miami, you do have the luxury of playing in warm weather at times, but if you think about it, I mean, we beat New York and the Jets in cold weather before, so it hasn't really dawned on us the fact that we're playing against really good teams in cold weather. It's just those teams they just had our number that day.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it works out in the NFL.
Yeah, it felt maybe like it was kind of a perfect storm thing, right? I think it's hyper focused because you do play in Miami, so the weather's always really nice.
Yep.
And you play in one of the coldest games of all time last year at Arrowhead, obviously, which I imagine had to be a completely different thing than you've ever experienced weather-wise.
Yeah, no, that was definitely by far the worst conditions I've ever played in, and I played in pretty harsh conditions. Playing out of Purdue,
right?
In Indiana and going to Iowa, playing in Iowa in the cold, going to Ohio, playing up there.
Yep.
Michigan. Those places are cold, but nothing beat that game, man. I tell you what.
Tell me, for you playing in both Kyle and Mike McDaniel's offenses, Mike kind of comes from the Shanahan tree. What about the way those guys, I guess, are scheming up the run game, create so many opportunities for a player like yourself?
Yeah, it's a run style offense, and we've transitioned and tweaked a couple things in our offense with the Dolphins. Utilizing a little more speed and motions and everything like that. Now, motions go hand in hand with play action and everything like that. So you have to account for all that stuff as a defense, right? But it's just trying to tweak the offense a little bit, and we've been able to do that. Unfortunately, this year was a little bit of a rigid road for us due to some injuries and everything like that, and not clicking on the same pages. But I mean, once again, that's just how ball goes, right?
Injuries can dictate a lot, right? And it hit you guys in a tough way. I think you were comfortably over 500 when Tua was out there. It clearly impacted Tyreek. That post game, he's kind of like, I got to get out of here. I'm curious, When you saw that, when you heard that, did you have a reaction?
Yeah, when we finished that game against the Jets, and then we headed to the locker room. I just came out the shower, and one of our media guys gave us a heads up that Tyree said those words, and for me, I didn't take it personal because I know the type of competitor he is.
Mm-hmm.
I do, however, feel like you shouldn't ever quit on the team. That's just because we're all bleeding out there. But when you're a competitor and you're just so fed up with how the year has gone for yourself and gone for the team and gone for the organization, at some point you do have that breaking point. And I'm not faulting him for his actions or anything like that. But he does have a right to feel that way. He does have a right to feel discouraged about how the season went, how he played, and you have for him, and I've had multiple conversations with him. He's one of my guys. We were texting back and forth this morning when he's coming out here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna grab a dinner or something like that. But he's definitely having those talks with him. He's definitely one of those competitors that just wants to win. He knows what winning looks like. He has a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I don't because I lost to him about it. But he has one of those championship mindsets in him. So you can't fault him for feeling that way.
Can I ask you? I mean, if it's a personal conversation, but have you touched base with him? Does he still want in?
Yeah,
with the Miami Dolphins?
He definitely wants in. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He just
in Miami.
In Miami, yeah. He was just fed up at that moment.
Sure.
And just like everybody else was, but they just didn't have the courage to say it like he did.
Right.
And he's a guy that's just truly a competitor.
Okay.
And wants to win.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you about the game against Green Bay, NFC title game. You run for 224 scores, and it's one of those things. I don't know. I probably can't actually imagine what that is like.
Yeah.
Saquon had a few games this year.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I was nervous, Kev, about that one. I thought he was gonna break the record. I was watching him. I'm like, man, the first two handoffs were touchdowns already, and then his first one he ran for 50, 60 yards.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my goodness, he's about to break this record.
But for you, and that's awesome to think about. But is there like a moment in a game where you go, ooh, this could be a big game here.
Yeah. When it's something about when you get that, like for me with that game, I got that first handoff and I was like, all right, I'm feeling it. And then my first touchdown, it was like a 50-yard, 40, 50-yarder, 30, 40, 50-yard. I can't remember.
36 I was looking at.
Oh, 36. Okay, so yeah. All right. So, the 36-yarder. And at first, I was just trying to get some yards because it was a third and long. We were in field goal range, trying to make it a little bit easier. But once you saw the hole, you're like, okay, yep, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And then the rest just so happened. We didn't have to pass the ball. We knew that we could take advantage of the run game, and we did that.
I'll get you out on this, Raheem. And again, we're out here in New Orleans. Raheem Mostert, he's with GoDaddy. Do you feel that the season Saquon had, Derrick Henry, some of what we saw from your guys' rush attack, especially I know last year there was a lot of explosive plays, McCaffrey's season, the running back position is about to get re-elevated and start to get a little bit more respect, maybe a couple extra dollars?
Yeah, I've had this conversation with multiple people, and I truly feel like, what's been on display these past couple years, at the running back position, it's only necessary that, our pay increases. I saw a stat the other day that, Saquon is tied for 27th or something like that, highest paid receiver.
Yeah.
And to imagine the things that he's done this year, I wouldn't say he carried the team, to the Super Bowl, but he's definitely been a very beneficial part and an intricate part in the offense.
Well, I said this to someone the other day, and I'm trying to elevate both parties. Saquon Barkley is as important as Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely.
And I don't even think that people would disagree with
that. Yeah,
right?
I mean, you can't disagree with that. He's helping the position so much, and he's helping, just like everybody, though. If you look at it now, this league, our position takes the most beating, right? Because we take the most hits, unlike receivers. And that's, I mean, you got to do right. You got to do right by the position itself. So it's encouraging to see guys getting their opportunity and raising the position and its value.
Raheem Mostert,
yes,
out here in New Orleans with GoDaddy. It was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. I appreciate you, man. Huge fan, brother.
All right, guys.
You look good too, man.
Yeah, I feel great. Feel great.
Yes, sir.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on the desk, Joe Lisi, Donnie RIghtisde, Kevin Walsh. You just heard us talking to Raheem Mostert out in New Orleans, and we were, Raheem I really appreciated. He was very honest about the Tyreek Hill situation, saying that Tyreek's, was hot, but he wants to come back, wants to win in Miami. That's great for the Dolphins. That's great for Tua Tagovailoa. We look at the, NFL MVP odds, and it's easy to forget. 2 years ago, Tua surged in this market, found himself for multiple weeks booked as the favorite. Right now, the favorite to win the award is Lamar Jackson at a pretty short plus 450 price. You get 5-1 Josh Allen, 6-1 Joe Burrow, 8-1 Mahomes, plus 950 Jaden Daniels, and then it's 20-1 or greater on every other quarterback. So let's start at the top of the board, Donnie. What stands out to you?
If we're Lamar Jackson, always, has a great regular season. If he stays healthy, he's going to be right in there. But a $450 price, I don't know if I want to take that preseason at that point. That's almost one where you're like, hey, maybe Lamar in Baltimore struggle a little bit. He drops to $14.50, and like, okay, I'll buy in if he could finish the season late with a surge like he did this year, but still wasn't able to come up with the MVP. Burrow, of course, is going to be in there, but I don't know who his his wide receivers are going to be, and how talented a group that is going to be happy. And also on the field, we don't know. I'll tell you the one that I'm looking for. Mahomes, nope. Daniels, nope. Hurts, nope. Herbert, nope. CJ, nope. Goff, nope. We're going to keep going down the list. How about Caleb Williams at 30-1 for the Chicago Bears, getting Ben Johnson as his offensive coordinator? You love the stories like this. The Bears are talented enough to make the playoffs. You also like that next story. What if I would have told you next year that we are going to get Caleb Williams, the best he's played so far in his young career? The Bears are going to win close to 10 games, and he's going to be a catalyst for it. Because the one thing we do know, if you can turn Jared Goff into a household name and even into an MVP candidate, and then you say, I'm going to give you guys a guy with more arm talent and leg talent right off the bat, Why not at 30-1?
It's good odds. I like the odds. I just don't. I don't know in year number one if I would make that bet just because it's Caleb Williams. He struggled.
Year number one with Ben Johnson. You're saying?
Yep. And that is the concern I have. I didn't see the game. Now he has come out. Right, and he has said, I don't know if you saw the reports that he had to hire somebody to help him break down film because Waldron. What I mean, if that is
I'm going
true,
into work, and the coach is messing me up.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
so, I mean, if that's what he was dealing with, I mean, that's absolutely atrocious out of Eberflus and Waldron. But again, I just didn't see that development last year. Now, maybe he will progress with Ben Johnson. Maybe it might take 2 or 3 years. I think Donnie's right in terms of the value perspective. But again, I just think I'm not expecting a Jaden Daniels type of elevation next year. We'll see. But again, I would go to Jordan Love. I would stay in the division, and I would go with Jordan Love in terms of a bounce-back spot. Struggle with some, interceptions last year. Struggle with, obviously, the injury concerns. Back, hopefully healthy. I think he has great value. Now, working with Josh Jacobs in that offense, I think it's a bounce back for Jordan Love in that aspect. So I would take a shot on that. If we're looking in terms of the big board, I would take a shot on Joe Burrow just because it's Burrow and he puts up numbers and his counterpart Jaden Daniels with LSU.
What I would say though is for the Love or the Caleb bet is typically I would say we're here now. But my point is you're going to have to think that he can win a division minimum, contend for a top 2 seed minimum. With the way this MVP race played out, I've lost a lot of understanding in how the award is going to go. But maybe it'll just return to, as long as the quarterback on the 1 seed plays as one of the 3 best quarterbacks, like they'll actually give him, or 5 best quarterbacks, they'll give it to him kind of thing. But that's what threw everything off so much to me.
Right.
Is this year's race between Josh and Lamar. Is neither guy was a 1 seed, which was the first time in a long time that was the case. I mean, we saw them split the AP and then obviously split the actual MVP award itself. Like, what did you imagine, right, Donnie? And again, I know we're talking value now, right?
Yeah.
But in the world where your Caleb bet is even trending, okay, it's cut to 15, they have to win the NFC North, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, it's going to depend on what other teams are doing, but I'm just looking for that upswing where it's like, okay, here's what my numbers were as a rookie. Boy, I'm really good now, and we're back in contention. That's what gets you the flags. That's what gets you, like, let's just say, a coach of the year tactic where it's like, okay, we're improved from last year with a legitimate chance to win. I don't know if they can hang on, because also take a look at this. Everybody's not plus 100 where it's like, yeah, of course you're going to take Lamar Jackson. Like, it's almost like, oh, look at that pep talk on the phone right there.
Wow.
Let's go.
Okay.
Rookies, am I cheating? Like, wow. You know, I have such good knowledge here. Like, this pumps into my head repeatedly, into my earpiece at this point. But look at that. The phone agreed with me. Caleb Williams, 30-1 is the right place to go. That's all I need to know. Siri's loving it.
To your point about being number 1, what about Hurts now? He's won the Super Bowl MVP. He's got great value. Yeah. Even if Saquon dominates, if the team is number 1 in the division and wins the division, number 1 seed in the NFC, you're telling me Hurts at that value behind Lamar, behind Josh Allen, can't be there in the conversation?
So I think to me, yes, he can, right? He absolutely can.
But look at that value, though. He's a double-digit.
Right. I would then think, right, from just the value end of it, of if I said to you, hey, listen, you're going to have to be a top 2 seed, right? Mahomes at 8-1. Because the MO on the Chiefs is always right. And then it's Purdy and Dak. So the Purdy one's kind of obvious, I think, because the Niners are going to clearly get booked in the same respectful fashion. Dak is 35-1 to win MVP. Mm-hmm. His team is 60-1 to win a Super Bowl. Like, this Dallas stuff is going to be fascinating to me. I very much look forward to when we're really breaking it down and seeing how we feel about these teams in their off seasons, and who knows, they may give themselves a headache again that they don't need with the Micah Parsons contract. But Dallas to me is going to enter into the season very similar to how they were last year. And I think they were so bad last year because things kind of fell off and they missed Dan Quinn early and Dak then got injured. But I don't think we had this conversation, I think, already on the day. Like, you would expect in this moment the Cowboys to be contending for a playoff spot.
Cowboys are going to win 10 games next year.
Really?
They're gonna win 10.
I don't see. I don't know.
Yeah, they have never done that in the past. I agree.
No, they have, but with Schottenheimer, I'm not buying into Schottenheimer.
So I think
I'm not buying into the team.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really fascinating to watch play. Well, we are going to do those. A player to watch for next season. We'll talk about that next.
At some point, these ADs are to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience, who's gone out and recruited, who knows how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
We start to put our eye towards next season. We talk Super Bowl odds. We talk MVP odds. In just a couple of moments, we'll talk NFL draft. I want to talk about a guy already in this league who just in this moment, good or bad, you're thinking about for next season. Maybe we get a season-long player prop, just what the value they could provide to their football team in certain markets. I'll go to you first, Joe.
Well, I have a few.
So let's go with one.
I have a feeling you'll be on this guy. I was going to say Brock Bowers from Las Vegas in terms of what he was able to do.
Great.
In terms of the tight end position, we see Travis Kelce potentially retiring from the NFL, and we have a 1,000-yard receiver with incompetent quarterback play for much of the season. What does he do if the Las Vegas Raiders either draft a quarterback or get a solid quarterback in terms of the free agent market? Brock Bowers could be the next Hall of Famer in terms of the tight end position, the ability to create mismatches, to step up against elite competition. He did it in college. He did it in his first year in the NFL. Sky's the limit for Brock Bowers in the AFC West.
Yeah, probably one of the reasons why Brock Bowers is such a superstar, teams and players and also coaches alike. New offensive coordinator Chip Kelly's coming to town here. A little bit more tempo, maybe a little bit more action. We know he's going to be able to get him the rock. For me, I'm going to keep it on the offensive side, too. I loved Brian Thomas Jr. this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you hear me out why I like to see him next year. Do we think he's going to take a step? If he does, that's a fantastic season already. But number 2, Trevor Lawrence down most of the year. He's going to be healthy next year. Liam Cohen comes in and goes, you know what? You're going to be my Mike Evans. That's the guy I want to watch next year to absolutely dominate for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I think both make a ton of sense. I think both could have themselves great seasons. I've said to you in a non-debate slander Jaden Daniels ways, I thought Brock Bowers deserved to make that a debate against because He was first-team All-Pro, right? He was the best tight end in football for many people the season that Brock Bowers had. And, I think Liam Cohen, you could hear right away in the press conference, seemed almost more excited about Brian Thomas than Trevor Lawrence.
And Duval.
I'm going to throw out listen, he's not off the beaten path in any way, but we think Offensive Player of the Year award. Puka Nacua is going to be a number that I'm going to be really interested in, especially if Cooper Kupp is out that door. I mean, that is one-man show type of statistics. And if Stafford leaves, that could get tricky. We'll know before the time we're placing those wagers, but Puka Nacua has established himself, even when Cooper Kupp is around, as the number one guy. Cooper Kupp is the number one guy in that offense, won an Offensive Player of the Year, had a Triple Crown, ended up finishing it off, of course, with a Super Bowl MVP. I'm fascinated to, we've already talked a little bit about that Rams offseason. I'm very interested to see what that does for some Puka Nacua numbers.
It does. I mean, steps up each and every week. I mean, you talk about the targets, even with Cooper Kupp in the lineup, 13, 14, 15, bubble screens, reverses, and great hands. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, it has been hampered a little bit with minor injuries throughout the regular season this past year, but as long as he's healthy and Stafford's there, he could put up dynamic numbers. Another guy, and he's asking for more money. James Cook wants $15 million a year, but the way he has emerged as the home run hitter, and we see with Saquon Barkley brought a team. You could say he's a poor man Saquon Barkley because of his pass catching ability. I mean, he is a home run hitter, and if he's not in Buffalo, or let's just say does get the money, what could he do with Josh Allen next year? Unbelievable, because he clearly was the best player on the field against the Chiefs. Shame they didn't utilize him on the last drive.
Yeah, the return of the running back, certainly one guy I'm very interested this year and next year is going to be Bijan Robinson. You got Michael Penix Jr. set to take over. That's still a young quarterback. You're going to have to rely more on the running game, and why not give this guy 15-plus carries, maybe 20 total touches every single game? I'm looking forward to it because we have some good running backs that are going to excel, and also $15 million a year there for James Cook, which would be more than Saquon Barkley at that point. But why not? The return of the running back, they expect to get paid now. It looks like most of them are going to now.
I'll then stay in the same guidelines. I was trying to find if any of the high-level backs could be moved. I think the Colts would be saving money if they traded Jonathan Taylor. Now, why would the Colts do that would be the normal response, and it's a valid one, but I don't really know what the Colts are. Right? It doesn't seem like the Colts are pot committed to Richardson being the starter. This is a team that maybe does hit a reset button. And, to tie this into one of the teams of the show in Kansas City, if you told me they have Jonathan Taylor next season, okay. That changes that conversation quite a lot.
I just want to bring up two wide receivers that potentially with quarterback play or move on to different teams. George Pickens. There's been rumblings about Trevor Lawrence potentially going to Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I don't think those are really
I know.
wild.
I'm just saying. Well, DK Metcalf is the other one. Going back maybe with Pete Carroll.
Sure.
If Seattle moves on. What happens with both of those guys?
I think that Raiders offseason looks like it's going to be a really fascinating one. What are the Titans going to do, though? Will impact everything. We'll explain that next.
Slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scavern, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are to learn, we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience, who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? You're talking 3 round robin games, and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
20 in 34. They are 14 games below 500. Any given night, you have no idea who is going to play for Philadelphia. Embiid has missed so many more games than he has actually played this year.
I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens because for the last 4 years now, I do it every year, and I want to hit myself in the head with a bat.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.